Hey guys, what's up? Unrested back and doing a bit of a different sort of video today. As you can see, this is footage of my neighborhood after Hurricane Milton hit it. And you can take a look at how badly damaged everything is. It is bad. I decided what I'd do is I made a disaster journal while I was dealing with no electricity and no anything else as far as internet, as far as ability to record, able to make hot food, able to take a hot shower. While suffering through all that, I did a lot of cleaning around my neighborhood, helping a lot of elderly folk trying to clean up this mess. And then just kind of a lot of reflecting on what life has been like in comparison to Japan during a disaster and here in the US during a disaster. I will say, usually in Japan, it's government organizations that come out the fastest and start to help post-disaster, like as far as like getting out food and everything like that. We've got FEMA supposedly here to help in the U.S. And I mean, they first of all, they fought our neighborhood on coming out here. They refused to declare it a disaster until they were sent like pictures over and over again, showing them how much rubble and stuff was left, how much roofs were ripped off, how people had walls ripped out of their place and stuff like that. Usually in Japan, if there's been a disaster, they're just like, oh, okay, well, let's go to the exact areas that the earthquake or the tsunami hit. One other thing you might not realize, a hurricane is simply the same thing that Japanese people call a typhoon. It's just the different location as to where it is in the world, and the name changes. So typhoon, hurricane, same thing. The other thing I got to say is like, there's at least usually hot food that's given out, or there's, if not the ability to have hot food, usually what Japan does is they have mobile rice cookers. That's because rice is the main staple of the diet out there. So a lot of those are created to be taken out on a camping trip. So it's very easy for them to cook hot rice and make loads of it for people waiting in line. I'd say here in America, what I saw being done and the care that we were given was mostly by like local, organizations that had nothing to do with the government. Some people, you may hate organized religion. There may still be that atheist Reddit crew out there, but I will say churches were the main people coming out and providing us with food. There was even places from as far away as Texas coming out here to my neighborhood and just driving through slowly and checking what we needed. There was even people who were individuals themselves who spent their own money just handing stuff out. Now, that's something that actually wouldn't happen in Japan. That's very different. You would never just see like a random couple buy a massive load of goods and just hand them out to random people, just because there's not a lot of mixing between strangers in Japan. People are more standoffish. They're definitely more into being private with their life in Japan. So whereas the government foundations came out super fast in Japan to help people. So for example, during Fukushima earthquake, and the people lined up quickly, nicely, quietly, no rioting. The difference here in America, I'd say, is local companies, local churches, local organizations take care of you. And there is even individuals. I had one night where a person knocked on my door and I was like, I wonder who they're with. It was just a husband and a wife handing out these double sets of grocery bags. And I thought like, oh, groceries, that's really nice, because I lost hundreds and hundreds of dollars of groceries when my refrigerator stopped working for 5 days. But they had all kinds of amazing stuff in there. They gave me like an electric lantern, toilet paper, sweets and stuff because they knew I had a kid. They had, meals that you could make yourself. And you know who else took care of our neighborhood? Lowe's. Lowe's handed out MREs. If you're not local to the area, maybe you don't have Lowe's. Lowe's is just like a construction store. Like they sell construction equipment and construction supplies like wood paneling and stuff like that. They invited the military out, and the military dropped off a bunch of MREs, and they handed those out. So that is very different. I'd say the one thing that does differ between America and Japan too is the fact that Japan stays very orderly and patient as far as waiting for help. And while the government there does get out there pretty quick to start handing help out, like I would say like within 24 hours after a disaster, they're there. Here, it's more about a community helps itself out. So like the neighbors all got together and we cleaned out each other's yards and stuff like that. We helped pull the scrap metal that was hanging off the sides of our sheds and our roofs and our carports and things like that. I want to say this doesn't happen quite as much where neighbors get to really know each other in Japan anymore. To be quite frank, any neighbor I lived around in Japan, we never spoke for the whole 15 years, no matter where I lived. And, I'm not just saying like they didn't speak to me because I was Gaijin or I was a foreigner or anything like that. Like just, even my wife, no one would speak to her. No one, neighbor to neighbor, they wouldn't speak to each other either. So that's Japanese person next to Japanese person, didn't even know who lived next to them. There's not a lot of intermingling. People are very private, again, with their lives. So where I feel like it's good that Japanese people in general tend to be very orderly and line up almost military style to be ready to receive help, I do feel like America is still better with lending help to its fellow neighbor, but the government doesn't really come through quite as well to take care of the people. Like FEMA's still never come out here. What they've done is given a couple people a couple $100 for groceries that they lost, but they're not, putting people up in homes. They're not helping them repair their houses. They're not coming out here and putting blue tarps over people's roofs who have, a complete roof missing or anything like that. Whereas you'd probably see more of that happening with Japan. In fact, I'd say the other thing that kind of switches around with Japan too is I'd say local companies are not quite as helpful in Japan. There's no special deals or handing out food or setting up food carts and stuff like that as far as I've seen. And life just kind of resumes to normal. I will say cleanup is way faster. Like for us to get trees removed, for us to get scrap metal removed, it took a good week before we saw anybody show up to take the metal that we had laying around in our yards. And it took, I'd say we probably went on almost 2 weeks before the trash service that takes our trees and stuff away finally came around. It took a while for Manatee County, the area that I live in, to send people to cut down trees that were in a dangerous situation. Whereas I'd say Japan is like way more crazy efficient at that. Like there's still all kinds of crap in the street here, even, the main streets. It took, I'd say, a pretty long time for them to turn on a lot of traffic lights. You would see that happen overnight in Japan. The road crews in Japan work fast. Like they'll work a full 24-hour day and they'll work all the way through the night too. Like they'll just switch crews out and they'll be out there cleaning and fixing until, every hour of the night and day. And then they'll even have, someone who's just there to make traffic avoid the area that they're trying to work on. Whereas, I guess, I don't know what's up with road work in America. Road work seems to take 1,000 years to fix one tiny little spot. What are road workers doing out there? In Japan, things on the road get fixed so fast. It's insane. But in America, it's just like, oh, we need to fill this pothole. Oh, that's going to take like a good week. I don't know what it is. Work crews as far as road work is concerned in America. Like, look, I'm not trying to mock the work. That is hard-ass work. I would never be able to do it. Standing out there in the sun all that time, working on the really ultra-hot asphalt, I couldn't take it. But I will say, like, I don't know, but Japan gets it done ultra fast. I guess just here at the end, I'd like to just talk about how I felt personally. Like, I guess the feelings I went through during this hurricane, because as if you don't know, if you're just tuning in for the first time on my channel, my neighborhood got hit. What I found out is my neighborhood got hit worse than almost any neighborhood in our area. Like, our area is specifically known to be the most devastated. Our place still looks like a war zone. We've got the entire fence around our neighborhood ripped down. We've got 75 to 80% of our houses destroyed in some way, whether it be the roof ripped off, a wall ripped off, a carport collapsed, partial roof collapse, lanais ripped off. Almost everybody lost some part of their lanai. If you don't know what the lanai is, like the patio. And here's kind of just what I wrote down. This is kind of all I could do to keep sane, so I'm reading straight from my journal here. Before the storm, I got a bunch of days off, and you would think, you don't have to work, you're still getting paid. That's sick. Like, you get, a bunch of pay. I'm on salary while you're off from work. I had 8 days off, and it was the most miserable 8 days of my life. Before the storm, you're so full of tension and dread that you can't relax for a second. Pretty much all I could do was just keep checking my phone for storm progression over and over again, and chat with people in my neighborhood, because we have like a neighborhood Facebook group, about how much we're worried about our houses getting ripped apart. Very difficult to eat, very difficult to sleep. I must have lost a lot of weight during this time. I can tell you, my goal this year was to try and get myself back down to like 9% body fat. I definitely hit that easily. While getting back and seeing the devastation of my neighborhood, you just, you don't have any electricity, you don't have any, internet or anything like that. Even your phone doesn't really connect to the cell towers that well. So you pretty much, you can't focus on the technology you used to use in the past. So all I could focus on was just like cleaning up my house and cleaning up my neighbor's house. Some of them are very elderly. One person right across the street from me just had open heart surgery. So I focused on helping that situation. And even though I was working nonstop, I was just like always thirsty and never hungry. The amount of sore muscles I had during this time was insane. You're using every muscle that never comes into use to do all kinds of things that you've never ever done before, like pull giant sheets of metal, cut down trees with an axe, climb ladders to climb across roofs and pull tarps over it, tie down, stakes that you're going to put down into the ground to keep tarps in place and stuff like that. Just all kinds of muscle and joint pain, and even just like stomach discomfort. You just really couldn't eat and process a meal properly because you're just so overwrought with emotion. Let's see. FEMA and insurance is useless. I guess that's a good comparison. Government help in Japan usually comes out pretty fast. Insurance help, if you have insurance in Japan, doesn't argue with you about settling a claim. They pretty much ask you what the problem is. An adjuster gets out there the next day, and they'll usually have the money in your bank within like 2 days. I've never, ever had to wait for any insurance to pay out what I've been, having a claim on long at all. Like, they'll just be like, okay, what's the problem? You're right, this is a problem, here's your money. Like, you don't argue with them, you don't try to be like, come on, man, like, this isn't water damage, this is like storm damage, this is wind damage. And they're like, oh, I don't know, some rain got into your place. I think this is only covered under flood insurance. And you're like, how is rain a flood? Like, you just have to argue back and forth with the insurance, and it's just really ridiculous. And in Japan, you'd never have to do that. Japan, if you have insurance, they'll be like, this is what we said we'd replace, it's replaced, here's your money. Let's see. The other thing that was like the biggest struggle, hot food not possible. You can only eat like dry or cold food for so long. So I lost a ton of weight because of that too. I just couldn't get a decent meal. Hot shower I was desperate for a hot shower. And then AC, you don't really think about how much you need AC until you work a full hot day in the sun and then have to lay down sweaty and hot in a hot bed. possibly the most miserable feeling ever. I would have never survived in medieval times during the summer. I would have died. Survival scenarios suck. I wouldn't wish it for anyone. It has to be one of the worst things to have to go through, to like survive on like nothing, no resources, things around you. No gas, no water, no food, all food gone. Canned goods, you need to cook them. People would say that, they'd be like, why don't you just cook some canned goods? I'm like, on what? Like start a fire in my backyard? You're not allowed to do that. Like you can't start fires in your neighborhood to cook food. So I don't have a grill either. So that whenever people would write to me about that, they'd be like, I know it sucks, but why don't you just cook yourself a can of food? Canned food doesn't go bad. And you're like, what do I cook it with? And if you'd say, go to the store and get like one of those little camper stoves, they're gone, bud. They're gone. Like everything is gone. Like we even had trouble after the storm. This is long after the storm passed, finding milk. Like the essentials were gone. It wasn't just our houses that were hit, like actual storage stations for grocery stores were hit and destroyed too. So we were missing like a ton of stuff. Gas was like a post-apocalyptic struggle day to day. People running on empty and waiting in 2.5 hour lines just to fill up their tank. Let's see. By Saturday and Friday, I was extremely weak and sore. I hadn't eaten much. I drank a bunch, but like my skin was so burned. It was so burned. Like I was putting on aloe and I was putting on sunscreen, but my skin was so burned that it just like literally hurt to be in the sun. I'd never felt anything like that before. I was like so weak that by like Friday and Saturday, I just couldn't go outside to help anymore. Like I just started to like slowly try to clean the inside of my house. That was a really miserable time, like fighting through that. Now, as far as everything else is concerned, guys, I just want to end the video by saying thank you for helping me through this. You guys were really there for me. If I were to say who was there for me the most between like FEMA, insurance, I guess I would put my neighbors up there. They're still helping each other to this day. I live in a really good, it's not like a super rich, ritzy place, but I live with good people around me. And these people are like, salt of the earth, hardworking, blue collar, like, pull themselves up by the bootstraps type of people who have been continuously going around and checking out what everybody needs and helping each other out. And I owe it to them and I owe it to you guys that I pulled through this, that I'm able to make repairs to my houses, that I'm able to recover this quickly. And I can't say thank you enough for that. Thank you for pulling me through this, guys. Yesterday I did my first normal stream where I could laugh with everybody again. I could enjoy playing Silent Hill. I could just, eat some warm, hot food, drink a nice cold drink from my working refrigerator, and my God, amenities, modern amenities are heaven on earth. I will never, ever take them for granted ever again. So thank you guys. Thank you for getting me through that. And I promise soon we're going to return to total normalcy. When I get everything fixed up, I have posted one thing to my GoFundMe that has been completely fixed. I will continue to post updates as things slowly get fixed in my house. And then my final promise to you guys is I'm going to do a full house walkthrough so you can see what my house is looking like after every little thing's been repaired. But I did get my undercrawl repaired, which is super important. That stops like rodents and like radon gases from, seeping up through the bottom, which can actually, this can cause like a lot of problems, not just for me, but especially for my son who as you're growing up, taking in radiant gases is not the best thing to have to do. So, I owe it all to you guys. Thank you for the GoFundMe help. Thank you for the encouraging words. And thank you for dragging me through this to the other side in one piece. And so very thankful I have one of the best communities ever on YouTube. Thanks again. I love you all and take care wherever you are.